In Jerusalem, a moment of triumph as U.S. and Israeli officials celebrate the opening of the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem. At the same time, in Gaza, the violent reaction that move is fueling. Palestinian officials say Israel's military has killed at least 43 people and wounded 1,600 more. Listen to this.
Israel is a sovereign nation with the right, like every other sovereign nation, to determine its own capital. Yet for many years we failed to acknowledge the obvious, the plain reality that Israel's capital is Jerusalem.
That was President Trump celebrating the embassy move via video this morning, long promised by many a president. President Trump, the first to follow through, though. On hand for the unveiling of the embassy was the president's daughter, Ivanka, and son-in-law, Jared Kushner.
We believe that it is possible for both sides to gain more than they give so that all people can live in peace, safe from danger, free from fear, and able to pursue their dreams. Jerusalem must remain a city that brings people of all faiths together.
A lot to cover here. CNN's Elise Labott is inside the new embassy. Ian Lee is following the violence in Gaza. Ian, let's begin with you. You've been there following all of it. What are you seeing there now?
Okay, this is the deadliest day in the past 7 weeks of protests, with 43 people being killed. You know, this is the deadliest day since the 2014 war here in Gaza, and it was easy to see why. Because, well, let me just show you something actually right now to show you why. We have a drone right here. This drone is likely, there you go. You can see the tear gas that's falling down. It's falling down into the camp. And this has created that chaos that I was talking about. And I don't know if you can actually hear it, but you can hear then pops. Those are people trying to shoot down that drone. This has been happening all day. We see a drone come in, drop tear gas, and go back. And these are people who have been trying to actually push closer to the border down there, that a fence. And they've been gathering here, the tens of thousands of people at camps like this one, all up and down the border. And just down there, you can see possibly those dirt mounds. That's where the fence is, and that's where these people say that they want to try to cross that fence. Now, Israel says that they're just not going to allow that to happen, and you get incidents where you do have them tear gassing the protesters, trying to push them back, trying to disperse them, also using live ammunition. You know, earlier in the day, we heard heavy automatic gunfire just north of our position, and then just south of our position, we heard what sounded like heavy artillery. And then in the north, we saw at least 2 airstrikes with Israeli military saying they're going after 5 Hamas positions. So that just kind of sums up the atmosphere of this deadly day when you have just tens of thousands of people with one goal in mind, try to cross that border, and then you have the Israelis saying they're not going to allow that to happen. You know, Kate, this is one of the bloody days. Tomorrow, we're expecting a similar sort of protest.
Ian Lee in Gaza for us. Ian, thank you so much for that. Let's go over to Jerusalem, though, right now. And Elise, continues to be a study in contrast, then, the violence in Gaza and the great deal of fanfare and celebration that really just wrapped up, in the big moment in Jerusalem.
That's right, Kate. As much as it is a crushing blow for Palestinians who feel that the U.S. has really not only disrespected the Palestinian people, but also its traditional decades-long role as peacemaker and honest broker of the Middle East peace process. Here in the embassy compound in Jerusalem, the Israelis are jubilant. They're emotional that after 70 years, the U.S., its closest ally, has finally recognized Jerusalem as their capital. We heard, as you said, from President Trump, Jared Kushner, who was really the keynote speaker and received such a standing ovation. The name of all U.S. officials, John Bolton, Nikki Haley, neither of whom were here, but received standing ovations. This is a really, I think, kind of solidified the bond between U.S. and Israel and these administrations of Netanyahu and President Trump. Even though the U.S. and Israel have traditionally been the closest of allies, today Prime Minister Netanyahu said, "We have no better friend than the United States," and he certainly didn't think that under President Trump and under President Obama.